One of the things I most love is I love having an audience in front of me. Why? Because I love to be able to see their faces and see how they're reacting. I can work with them, and if they're bored, I can do something different. If they're engaged, I can really play on that. And so I love being in front of a group of people. My name's Daniel Pennington. I'm a speaking coach, and I've been doing speaking coach for about 10 years. Before that, I had 35 years in television. And so I really understand what it is to get people engaged and keep people engaged. But I'm telling you, in person, it's pretty easy because I can see who's engaged and who's not, who's playing Angry Birds on their phone, and who's really with me, and that's a lot of fun. But increasingly, as time has progressed, there have been more and more opportunities for me to do what I do online, to do online courses, to work with people, actually in other countries. I've got a really good group of people in Australia that I work with all the time, and just recently started working with people in Canada, and I live in the United States. So it's been really fun. And so I love the opportunity to speak in person. I love the opportunity to train with people right there that can ask questions and I can interact with. But I understand that we're moving towards this more online thing. And there are things that we need to understand if we're going to train online. Things are just different. They're better in some ways. It's better for you if you're the teacher because you can do one course one time, and maybe, depending on what the subject is, you may never have to do that subject again because you may have all the modules completed and it's good to go. Or there may be that you have to replace a module here or a module there as things change. It depends on your subject. If you're teaching mathematics, well, how much does that change from one semester to another? But if you're working on something else, if you're political science or something like that, well, that changes all the time, and so you have to do it all the time. But what I'm saying is that some of the stuff that you do has a lifespan that goes well beyond where you are. The other thing is that you can have a greater impact. I mean, it's amazing to me that I will do a course here in Florida, and then people on the other side of the world in Australia are watching that, and then I work mainly with healthcare leaders down there, and those healthcare leaders become better leaders, and they become better nurses and doctors because of that, and then they go out and they provide better care because I've helped them with that. I love that. I love having an impact half a world away because of what I do. There's also benefits because you can do it when you're at your best. How often you go into a class and that isn't your day? You know, that's not your day. You're exhausted, or maybe you had car trouble, or maybe it was raining. And now you're expected to get up and deliver and be captivating. And maybe you just don't really feel that way. But the reality is that you have that opportunity here. I can work on this piece that I'm working on right now. And if I don't like it, I'll work on it again tomorrow and again next week. But the thing is, I have an opportunity to make this some of my best work. So I love that. And I love the fact that I can do this once and then it has a wide dispersal. The benefit to our audience is fantastic. You think about this. You can watch these pieces when you want. You don't have to watch them when I say you do. I go to a lot of in-person training. I do a lot of professional development for myself and my staff. We're in classes all the time. But often that is not convenient. Often that's at a time when we would rather be doing something else, or we have other opportunities to do other things. And so sometimes it's not at all easy for us to be there. But online training all of a sudden allows us that opportunity to train when it suits us best, when we need it, and not when somebody else has it delivered. I love that. So that's really cool. Second thing is, if you look at a list, and almost all of these courses have a list of subject matter, you can go in there and you can pick and choose which ones. Which ones work for you today? Which ones are important for you today? Which ones are going to help you today? And those are the ones that you can pick and choose and get those 2 or 3 things. It's like being at a buffet. You can get the 2 or 3 things that you really want, that you really need, and you can kind of ignore the others. The other thing we talk about a lot is just-in-time learning. Now, just-in-time learning looks like this. Just-in-time learning says that if you ask me today, Daniel, we have a great piece for you on how to hire people. Well, I'm not hiring anybody today. And as good as your course may be on hiring, I'm just not doing that right now. And so for a while, I might think, I don't really want to do that. But then a year from now, when we really are hiring, we've got a lot of people, then I can do that course right there on hiring. But you see, it's just in time, because the reality is that we're all full plate people. Meaning we don't have any room in our head for anything else. And so when you give us a course, and it has to be on something that we're going to use right away, because I don't have the room to store that for 6 months or a year. And I can look down the list and say, these are 2 or 3 things that are important today, and these aren't going to happen for a while. And so then I can do them later. So great benefit. You get to watch it when you want. You get to watch it in the order that you want. And you also get to leave things out if they're not pertinent to you today. The third thing is we chapterize our material. Isn't that great? I love to chapterize material. If you look at the agenda of all the stuff that's in this course, it's little short segments. Now, why do we do that? Because we don't know where you are. We don't know what you're doing. We don't know what you're doing right now. And it may be you can sit down and really focus for a 7-minute piece. But that may be it. And if I had an hour and a half long piece, you may not be able to pay attention to all of that. You may not have the bandwidth, as they say, to do that. So by little short pieces, then you can snack size. You can eat the little piece that you want today that works for you today and learn something and go on. And then next day you do a different piece. I love the little snack size pieces. Chapterizing our material helps people absorb it better. Most people have 7 or 8 minutes that they can do some training, but most people really struggle to sit for an hour and 30 minutes or 3 hours and gather all that stuff. So I love the chapterization on it. I just think that there's so many benefits to this. Now, I went from speaking in person and training in person and teaching in person to into the online course. I was not a fan at first, because I knew that I couldn't see the people on the other end. I can't see you. What are you doing? Are you distracted? Are you playing Angry Birds on your phone? Are you what are you doing? So I can't tell. And at first, that really was a miss for me. And then I realized, well, hey, I had 35 years in TV. And in TV, the number one thing, I'll tell you what, in TV, our goal is to get people engaged and keep people engaged. That's all we did. Get people engaged and keep people engaged. And we worked overtime to make sure that we would get people engaged and keep people engaged. So I'm excited about this subject because I have some of the tools I think that you need to be a better online teacher. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about technology. I'll only talk about technology in as much as it pertains to engagement. But there's a lot of courses out there that will teach you which camera to use, which mics to use, which whatever. I get all that, but a lot of that we're going to leave somewhat for someone else. I'm going to talk about how to be engaging and have your audience stay with you throughout. That's the first and most important thing. And because of TV, there are a lot of things we do in TV just as a natural part of everyday TV that will help you be better at engaging people. Look, at one time in TV, here's the thing. I worked at a major TV station in Tennessee. And in Tennessee, we understood, we could see that if we kept our audience at this level from 5 o'clock to 5:15, our station would make an extra $1 million. We were good at engagement. We understood engagement. We lived by engagement and we died by engagement. And engagement was our bread and butter. And that's what we did. So we're going to apply some of those techniques to what we're doing online. And then my experience as a public speaking coach, I'm going to apply that to what we're doing online. And we're going to make you a much better presenter. And I look forward to it. We're going to have a blast. This should be a lot of fun. I think by the time you get done here, you'll have learned a great deal of stuff, but it'll also be fun. It should be a really good time. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a part of this. And let me know if you need something I didn't give you. Man, I will be glad to do something else for you, because I understand that in order for you to have an impact, you have to be engaging. And in order for you to be engaging, you have to know the tools of the trade. I look forward to it. Take care.